Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 22nd regular meeting of Council. I'd like to first recognize we are gathered on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. Our clerk tonight will be Ms. Sheila Gurry. We also have Councillors Perino and Brown attending electronically tonight. Tonight's regular meeting of Council is being held in accordance with the Community Charter and Council Procedure Bylaw 2018, number 7272. So if during the meeting any member of the gallery has a question regarding an agenda item, write down your name and the agenda item on the question period sign-up sheet, which is on the table by the double doors to my left, and please note that the Council Procedure Bylaw states that questions will only be taken on staff reports, consent items, or other business items. Looking around the audience, I sometimes feel compelled to read a fairly lengthy bit of instruction around public decorum and no clapping or jeering and things of that nature, but I pretty much know everybody in the audience tonight, and you all look pretty civilized anyway, so I'm going to dispense with that. The first item on the agenda is the introduction of late items. Ms. Gurry?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Good evening. For late items, we have the addition of a delegation from Carl Butterworth, Director of Harbour Dance Studios, Inc., and that is to speak to 13C Liquor License Amendment Application number LA159 for 240 Skinner Street. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Motion for adoption of the agenda is amended. Moved Councillor Thorpe, seconded Councillor Hemmons. All those in favour and any opposed? None. Motion carries. Motion for adoption of the minutes is circulated. Moved Councillor Armstrong, seconded Councillor Eastmere. All those in favour? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. I have a couple items for the Mayor's report tonight. The first is a little reminder for everyone that the City of Nanaimo has implemented Stage 3 watering restrictions, which began on June the 8th in response to ongoing dry conditions and increased water demand. The city's watershed has experienced almost 2 months without significant rainfall, resulting in steadily declining reservoir levels. At the same time, water use has risen to above average levels for this time of year, placing increased pressure on available water supplies. Under Stage 3, reducing outdoor water usage remains voluntary. However, the city residents and businesses are strongly encouraged to reduce consumption and eliminate unnecessary outdoor water use. You can take proactive conservation measures, including the following: avoiding or significantly reducing lawn watering, minimizing irrigation of landscapes, gardens, and ornamental plants, using water-efficient methods such as hand watering or drip irrigation, limited vehicle washing, and other non-essential outdoor use, and fixing leaks and reducing indoor water use where possible. We're also seeking in 2027 temporary public art program. The City of Nanaimo is inviting artists to submit proposals for the 2027 temporary public art program, with projects initiated in 2026 and installed in 2027. This is a unique opportunity for artists of all disciplines and backgrounds to help shape the city's cultural landscape through public art. The temporary art program is open to individual artists or artist teams and welcomes a wide range of proposals, varying in scale, scope, and medium, from sculptural installations to socially engaged or community-based projects. Artwork must be designed to remain in place for up to 5 years. An information session will be held Thursday, August the 13th, 2026 at 5 p.m. via Zoom, and Monday, September 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The deadline to submit proposals is 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time on October 18th, 2026. View application details and requirements on the city's website. And of course, we are approaching our nation's 159th birthday, and the city invites all of you, visitors and residents alike, to celebrate Canada Day at Maffeo Sutton Park on Wednesday, July 1st from 11:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. The annual celebration will feature a full day of live entertainment, cultural performances, family activities, and community connection. The festivities begin with an opening ceremony in the main stage, followed by a performance from Unite the Beat International Drumming. Throughout the day, the attendees can enjoy live music from Cosmosaurus, Latchkey Kids, and Outseer, as well as interactive performances from the Harbour City Magicians. A cultural community stage will also feature a variety of local performers and groups, including the Nanaimo Chinese Cultural Society, Historical Fencing Club, Vancouver Island Bhangra, square dancing, ballroom dancing, vibrant studios, Flowers of Nanaimo Chinese Dancing, Flamingo, and Latin dance, and ballroom line dancing. In addition to live entertainment, the event will feature games, face painting, bouncy castles, a photo booth, a flower wall, and interactive booths from community organizations, including the City of Nanaimo's Drowning Prevention Coalition. Food vendors will be available on site, along with a water fill station to help attendees stay hydrated throughout the celebration. And of course, residents are encouraged to use alternative transportation, as there will be no general vehicle parking available at Maffeo Sutton Park on Canada Day, except for limited accessible parking. Free parking will be available on city streets and in city-owned parking lots. Again, free parking available on city streets and in city-owned parking lots. To support event success, the City of Nanaimo is partnering with the Regional District of Nanaimo to provide free shuttle service from Woodgrove Mall and South Parkway Plaza. A free bike valet service will also be offered near the park, providing secure bicycle parking for attendees. I encourage everyone to come out. I don't think there's a time in the last few years in our troubled world where I think Canadians have had more interest and obviously, I think, comfort in knowing that we really are the best nation on earth, and it's a wonderful place to be, and we should all be grateful for that. And speaking of gratitude, I have one final item under the Mayor's report. I seem to have been doing this a little too often lately, so I confess that I'm not getting used to it, and I don't enjoy it any more tonight than I've enjoyed it on the other occasions in the last year or two. The City of Nanaimo has had an outstanding public service for a very long time, long before the time I became mayor. And on behalf of City Council and staff and the citizens of Nanaimo, it is my privilege tonight to extend to our friend Darcy Osborne our heartfelt congratulations as she retires after a 30-year career with the City of Nanaimo. Please, yes. Since joining the city in 1996 in the Parks and Recreation Department, where she has worked her entire career in 8 different positions, she has exemplified that unwavering commitment, professionalism, and leadership that we have come to expect of senior public servants and those aspiring to be so. Over the course of her career, she served the community with distinction in a wide range of roles that include recreation programmer, coordinator, supervisor, manager, director, and acting general manager before taking on the big role. In each of those positions, she demonstrated a remarkable ability to inspire teams, foster collaboration, and deliver exceptional programs and services that enrich the lives of residents across Nanaimo for many, many years. I think there is no question that our Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department is outstanding. The people of this community enjoy access to all kinds of recreation and cultural activities that aren't necessarily the norm in other communities, and sometimes we have taken that for granted, just as we've taken for granted the people who deliver those programs. Darcy, he's left a pretty lasting imprint on the department, advanced a vision and strengthened its vital role in building a healthy community. I would say that dedication and passion and innovation are pretty much the hallmarks of what she's done for us, for all of us, but it helped create spaces and opportunities that have benefited generations of the Nanaimo residents and will continue to do so. A 30-year term in public service is a remarkable thing. You've earned our admiration and our respect. Council is grateful, the community is grateful, the people you've worked with are grateful, and we are going to miss you. The only comfort I take in this is an entirely personal, selfish one. Tom, her husband, who has also announced his retirement as the head of Parks and Recreation for the Regional District of Nanaimo, so we're losing, this is a twofer, not the kind of twofer that one wants or expected. I will tell you honestly, I sent a note to Tom congratulating him on his retirement and copied it to Darcy and saying only one Osborne at a time, even though in my heart of hearts I knew that something like this might be coming. The fact that she is a person of integrity and had the decency and honesty not to respond to my comment told me everything I needed to know that she was in fact stepping into retirement. Between the two of you, the citizens of Nanaimo and the Regional District have been ably served, and I just want to extend to you on behalf of Council and to Tom as well tonight our gratitude for everything. It is a remarkable career and it's a remarkable contribution, and we will miss you terribly. Although I do look forward, because they are early risers, to walking dear old Stella up and down Bay Street past our house where they catch me watering early sometimes, although they're often done and finished by the time up, because they are two hardworking people of a generation that produced a lot of hard workers, and it's been exemplified in your career, so thank you. You are welcome to respond if you would like, please.
Your Worship, thank you for such humbling words. It has been genuinely an unbelievable honor to serve our community. I have experiences and stories and friendships and memories to last a lifetime. And I work with amazing people. The City of Nanaimo staff are incredibly hardworking people who are committed to our community, and I've seen that for the last 30 years. And I don't see that changing in the future. We just live in an amazing community. We have amazing recreation facilities, and our city is just a beautiful city, place to live. That shows with population growing the way it is. I feel that this is an incredibly, I'm an incredibly lucky person to have landed in the position that I did in 1996, and to think that I can still be sitting here 30 years later. And for that, I owe appreciation to council and to my colleagues and all of the people that I've had the privilege to work with over the last 30 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Nothing to rise and report on, Ms. Gurry. We have no presentations. Committee minutes are just for receipt. I'm asking for a motion for adoption of the consent items. Moved Councillor Manley, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Not seeing anyone wanting to withdraw anything. All those in favor and any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. On to an item 11, delegations unrelated to agenda items. Tonight we are delighted to have Kamal Parmar, our former Poet Laureate, and Arlene Bundell, who enjoyed the Culture Award from the City of Nanaimo, and welcome Eugenia Matheson, President of Project Bookmark Canada, who's attending via Zoom to answer questions if necessary. Good evening to the two of you. Welcome. 5 minutes, and I will let you know when there's a minute left if you're still talking. The floor is yours, and welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Your Worship, Mayor Krog, respected city councillors, guests, and city staff. My name is Kamal Parmar, and my colleague here is Arlene Blundell. We also have the President of the Board of Directors, Project Bookmark, Eugenia Matheson, over Zoom, all the way from Hamilton, Ontario. Thank you very much for permitting us time for a presentation to talk about a project for which we are very passionate about. We wish to help Nanaimo become a destination city with the projects that would be part of a national literary trail sites called bookmarks. Project Bookmark Canada exists to mark our stories in our spaces by placing fiction and poetry in the exact Canadian locations where literary scenes are set. From St. John's Harbour to the islands of Haida Gwaii, from our populous southern border to the land above the tree line, our stories belong to these places. Building Canada's literary trail. Project Bookmark Canada is a nationally registered charitable organization building Canada's literary trail. Incorporated in 2007, it unveiled its first bookmark in 2009, a passage from the famous poet Michael Ondachier's In the Skin of a Lion at the Bloor Street Viaduct in Toronto. There are 30+ bookmarks and more coming across 9 provinces with dozens more in development. This is just a map of Canada and showing that in almost every province we have bookmarks. All provinces, even BC, Victor, it's in Vancouver, but not on Vancouver Island. So our effort and our request is that you give us approval to put Nanaimo on part of the Canadian Literary Trail. This is a picture of the bookmark or the plaque taken in Batoche National Historic Site, which is in Saskatchewan. And this is a poem, The Sewing Circle, by the famous poet Gregory Skullock. Yeah. Let's look at the vision. Vision is to create a permanent series of site-specific literary exhibits using text from imagined stories that take place in real locations. It's a unique innovation. While many countries have produced to their nation's stories and writers, no other country is creating a national network of site-specific installations celebrating the country's stories. Project Bookmark Canada is the only national site-specific literary exhibit in the world, a one-of-a-kind Canadian innovation so that you can read your way across Canada. What are the objectives? We aim to enhance reading culture in Canada, word by word and kilometer by kilometer, strengthen our sense of shared national identity and belonging, bring communities like Nanaimo into the national CanLit Trail, use the creative word to link local communities to nationwide conversations, increase tourism through literary destinations across all provinces.
And 1 minute.
This is estimated, the budget of Project Bookmark. We have given you handouts, and the president is going to go into detail about the expenditure. There is a generous donor that's willing to donate $10,000, and the person remains anonymous. It's a one-time request from the City of Nanaimo Council for around $5,700, this way or that way. Thank you very much. And any questions?
Thank you very much. Questions for the delegation? Councillor Eastmere and then Councillor Manley, please.
Thank you for the presentation. I know I've spoken with you about your desire to bring this project to Nanaimo, and have you already been in touch with city staff about the potential to bring this to Nanaimo? What's been your experience so far trying to work with city staff on bringing this to the city?
Well, the city, I contacted the Culture and Arts Division, and then they asked me to, look for grants and fill in an application. However, I was lucky enough to get somebody who's giving as a generous donation of $10,000. I also contacted the Vancouver Island Regional Library, and they're willing to help, but not with the finance as such. And I contacted Nanaimo Art Culture. They were not able to provide financial fund aid.
Okay, I wonder if potentially Nanaimo Foundation, I'm hearing that suggestion, could be a supporter for this. I don't know if you've spoken to the Nanaimo Foundation, but I've seen them sponsoring some great local cultural events recently. I guess my other question that sticks out to me is the fact that this is all very focused on like Canadian literature, but then the bookmark itself is manufactured in the United States. And I'm just wondering, like, is there a way that we could manufacture it locally and that would deal with some of like the customs costs to kind of eliminate that and support like local manufacturing and business?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and I'll request the president of the board of directors, Eugenia, to answer the question.
Yes, thank you. I'm Eugenia Matheson, our president of the board and executive director. That question is, I know, at the top of everybody's mind, and it has been particularly since we've had this conflict with the United States. When the bookmark, Project Bookmark Canada started, it was started by Miranda Hill, the writer, and she, in Toronto, she searched around for a manufacturer that would make a plaque that would withstand Canadian climate and withstand many years. And she found the one in the United States. And it was the same one used by Heritage Toronto. If any of you have been in Toronto, there are many plaques representing historic sites and buildings, etc. Now, we have stayed with them, and so has Heritage Toronto. I have because I feel very much the way you feel, it should be Canadian. We have searched from Newfoundland. In here, I'm in Burlington, by the way. There's a huge sign factory. We've asked other people in Alberta, and everybody comes up with the same comment. That company, Windsor Fireform, in Washington State, manufactures the best product that withstands, years of, you might say, weather, etc. The other thing, and I've asked people, we don't have a large volume. We are not putting many plaques in per year. So for a manufacturer to set up a new line just for us would be not feasible financially. But if somebody can come up with, and we have tried, my husband's an engineer and he's been searching as well and talking to people, we have never found a manufacturer. So we continue with this one. If you're asking people to donate a certain amount of money, like most of the manufacturers I've dealt with, they say, okay, this plaque will last about 10 years. Well, that's not long enough. If you're having people trying to create a literary trail that is commemorating these authors and honoring these authors, and if it's only going to last for 10 years, and you can check around, and I do look at every sign possible, they do wear out with time. So if you have any ideas, I would be open for them. But right now, and I have tried, and the board has tried,
Okay.
this is where we're stuck. I'm sorry I'm taking a bit more time, but that's an issue that I knew would be forefront.
That's okay. Yeah,
and
I
it should
understand. Thanks for the
be.
explanation. And I know that we
Yeah.
do really excellent signage in the city of Nanaimo in our parks. It's definitely got to be possible. So I believe that there's a way, and I appreciate the challenges you've experienced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. I assume that the bookmarks would be local, like authors from the local area. Is that to identify somebody? Have you identified a local author yet, or is that something that would be kept under wraps until you figure this out, figure out where the money comes from?
Well, I'm interested, but I mean, it doesn't look good, that it was my idea to have the project bookmark and have my poem in there. But I'm open to other local authors for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe, please.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Through you, if I may, Ms. Parmar and Ms. Blundell, thank you for being here. We have spoken about this project, and it's certainly one that interests me. The price point, quite frankly, is off-putting, but with the contribution that you've referenced, that helps an awful lot. My question is, and it's too bad that Ms. Osborne isn't here still, our city, as I'm sure you're aware, does have a poetry trail. That is something that Mr. Neil Serkan developed last year. I'm just wondering if there might be an opportunity to partner with that project. Have you considered that at all?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. When I was the former poet laureate, it was at that time that the poetry trail was started. And it's a very neat idea. Yes, we can continue with that and make this part of as a project too. But I suppose the president, I have to get her consent, the president of the board of directors, project bookmark.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. That answers my question. Appreciate your time and effort in this.
I'm not seeing any.
Yeah.
You wish further answer, Ms. Blundell?
I know, Councillor Eastmere, you were suggesting areas that we could go to for funding. One of the problems is if we apply for a grant, the grantor wants to give the money to a nonprofit society. And so they are looking for an organization that has an executive and a board, which we don't have. So we cannot get any of those grants because we're not open to them. And so what I'm hoping is maybe there's a slush fund or something in the city here that the staff can look into and see if there's some way that through public art or any area where they can put maybe the $5,000 into it. I think, if I understand correctly, the city has to or should show support for this project before it goes ahead. So we need some city input, whether it's just a letter of support, letter of approval, or whether it's some money that goes towards the project.
Thank you very much. I think the technical term you're looking for was mad money. Appreciate.
Thank you, Your Worship, Mayor. And the council.
Appreciate both of you coming tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next delegation is Anna McKenzie, Re-Departure Bay Safety and Noise Concern. Is Ms. McKenzie coming in online, or is she? Ms. Gurry, can you help me here?
Your worship, my understanding was that she was going to be here in person, so if
All right,
she's-
well, we'll indulge her if she's unsure of the time or something's happened. We'll get back to her. That otherwise completes delegations tonight. The next is administrative reports, the 2025 Annual Municipal Report. Ms. Gurry,
Thank
you're
you.
up, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Each year, the Community Charter, Section 98, requires that municipalities in BC publish an annual report before June 30th of each year and make the report available for public review. This year marks the 22nd annual report published by the City of Nanaimo, and this year's report is themed Illuminate, and it commemorates 150 years since the first election and meeting of City of Nanaimo Council in 1875, as well as the Luminous Paths Nanaimo 150 and Beyond Festival. The document contains the following components for the year ending December 31st, 2025, and that is messages from the Mayor and CAO, overview of Nanaimo City Council, profile of Nanaimo, city services and operations, corporate strategic plan progress report, audited annual financial statements, and financial statistics. And as you're aware, because it was just awarded at a recent council meeting, for the last 5 consecutive years, the city has been awarded a Canadian Award for Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. For its 2024 annual municipal report, this is, it was last year as well as the 4 consecutive years before that. This award is given to municipal governments that publish a report that is easily readable, efficiently organized, and clearly communicates the municipal governance financial picture. So we are looking for council to approve the 2025 annual municipal report, and as a requirement in the community charter and our procedure bylaw, we first need to hear from anyone that wishes to speak to it before we get that recommendation approved from council.
Thank you very much. Councillor Thorpe?
Thank you, Your Worship. If I may, through you, a comment and a couple of questions. First of all, I looked through this report this morning and I was very impressed with the format and how easily readable it is, full of information. I know it's been on the city website, and I certainly encourage viewers to check it. And I'm sure they'll find the answer to a lot of things that they might not already know. The section on taxation is interesting, where tax dollars go to, and I especially appreciated the section on highlights of governance and corporate excellence. My questions, Your Worship, on page 76, under Statistics at a Glance, Development Services, I was a little disappointed to see that the total number of new business licenses issued was down in 2025 from 2024, 1,237 down to 984. Those are new business licenses. I take that literally. I'm wondering if we have any statistics on the number of business licenses that were not renewed, which would indicate the business was either closing or moving. And it's possible we don't have that information, but I would be curious.
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Thorpe, I don't believe we would have that offhand, but we could definitely get that back to you and have that information. But you are correct, it does say It's for new business licenses issued. So that would only reflect the new ones, whereas, yes, it is less than 2024, but I don't know how many weren't renewed, or possibly they all were renewed, and these are just the new ones that are noted. So
All right,
can
thank
get
you. And
that.
if I may, Your Worship, a second question. This is from page 130, expenses by object 2025 from our finance department. It indicates that 40.9% total went to wages and benefits, but then it indicates that 32.9% went to contracted services. Now, would that relate to physical services, or would it be technical advice that we get, as we often do? Can somebody give me an answer to that?
Ms. Mercer, please.
Through your worship, yes. So contracted services would be engineering services, management consulting, flagging, anything and everything that we contract others to do that works, studies, those kind of things, yeah.
So highly specialized knowledge is required, right?
Yep.
I assumed that, but thank you for confirming. Thank you. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to speak regarding the 2025 annual municipal report? I have up to 3 minutes. If you just identify yourself for the record, please, when you get to the mic.
Jeff Ansley, how you guys doing tonight? First question actually just came from Councillor Thorpe. He said there was a page 130, but in the actual report you gave to this us, it was only 122. What's the discrepancy on that? When you were quoting what you were saying, you said page 130, but in the reports that we were given, just to the public, there was only 122 pages in the report I got. So I'm just wondering what the discrepancy is.
Your Worship, it's the agenda package. So Councillor Thorpe was looking at the whole agenda package for tonight, and it's page 130 of the whole agenda package.
Got it. Okay. My question was, between 2021 and 2025, we've hired actually, I think, exactly 130 new people, which is roughly a 15% increase. I'm just wondering if you, with numbers, could give me a breakdown on those 120 new employees.
Ms. Gurry?
That's not information I think we would probably have offhand, but we could get back to Mr. Ansley on that.
Keep in mind, Mr. Annesley, it's not question period, so your 3 minutes are running here.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Thanks very much. Anyone else? If not, there is a recommended motion. Moved Councillor Thorpe, seconded Councillor Hemmens. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. The next is 12B, Off-Street Parking Regulations Bylaw 2026, number 7453. Mr. Rosen, you're going to introduce this. Please, welcome.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council. At the October 31st, 2025 GPC, Council made some decisions and recommendations for changes and updates to the off-street parking bylaw. Staff have completed the changes to the bylaw, and it's now ready for Council's consideration. There are sections on vehicle parking requirements, loading space requirements, mobility scooter and bicycle parking, electrical vehicle charging, transportation demand management, and variances. So the current report is an opportunity for Council to give the first 3 readings of the revised bylaw. And if there are any questions Council has, we have Ms. Sadie Robinson here, the city's transportation planner, available to answer questions, as well as, I believe, the consultant, Mr. Dan Casey, available. So I'll turn things over to Ms. Robinson.
Ms. Robinson, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Council. Mr. Rosen captured most of it, but I will just highlight that we've been here before you several times over the past 18 months as this work progressed. And we have initially come with the citywide parking review outlining Nanaimo's current parking regulations and key challenges related to growth, housing, and transportation. We then returned with the engagement summary and early directions. That directly shaped the direction was shaped by input from residents. the Advisory Committee on Accessibility and Inclusiveness, industry stakeholders, and transportation providers. And then more recently, this past fall, Council endorsed the overall direction of the parking review and directed staff to prepare bylaw and policy updates. So since then, recommendations have been refined through targeted engagement with frequent bylaw users, including development professionals as well as internal departments. So as Mr. Rosen mentioned, tonight is the first formal step in bringing forward the new off-street parking regulations bylaw. And our consultant, Dan Casey, should be on the line, and we're happy to take any questions that council might have.
Thank you very much. Councillor Perino, Councillor Armstrong first, then Councillor Perino.
Thank you. Two questions through you, if I may. The first one is, when I was researching all this, car ownership is rising considerably on Vancouver Island, and in Nanaimo, even from our own Nanaimo Economic Impact, we've shown an increase of over 2,500 cars. How is this going to impact where they're going to park if we eliminate parking from a lot of these places?
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. So the parking regulations, we have heard from developers that with more flexibility, more housing should be able to be built, which is another big concern in the city. We're hoping that with the parking being contextualized, with fewer parking spaces required as the closer you get to urban centers and more required in suburban areas, that should be aligned with where transit and alternate modes are supported. So we do expect some shift in the short term to on-street parking demand, but that should be managed through the curbside review that we're going to be undertaking following this work.
And then my second question, and this was sent to me by a citizen, their point is, and I know I asked this of the consultant before, many of people in new subdivisions have to pay for road infrastructure for their garages, which could be add 50 to 60,000 onto their prices, and they're asking, why are they expected to do this, and then condo owners aren't, and then the condo owners park their cars on the streets they paid for?
If I understand the question correctly, people who live in subdivisions have to pay for the frontage works that people who live in condos also park at? Is that?
Yeah, the question she said, and maybe I didn't say it right, was she said that their house cost them approximately, figured between 50 and 60,000 more for the DCCs, which brought, you know, your water infrastructure, parking, et cetera. And that we hear from developers that they don't want to pay for parking lots because the average parking space costs around $50,000, so they don't. Then the people that buy in those places end up parking on streets that were paid for by the owners of the streets. They're not paid for by city dollars, was the question. Mr. Rosen, I see, has got an answer.
Mr. Rosen, please.
Through your worship, Councillor Armstrong. So regardless of development, whether it's a single-family home or a commercial or a multifamily residential, they have to construct frontage works and services. If there's no road access, typically like a single-family home, like subdivision, would be required to build the road network. It's not a DCC project necessarily. DCC projects tend to be the larger arterials that a lot of people are using. So in both cases, the developer would be responsible for works and services and potentially road construction, which ultimately gets turned over to the city as a public asset for the city to manage in the best interests of the community in terms of parking regulations and so on and so forth. So I'm not too sure that there's an unfairness there. Single-family home would have access to parking on site. Multifamily or like an apartment, for example, they may or may not decide to have a lot or a little bit of parking. So.
Yeah, I think their point was that they're paying to have those roads when they buy their houses, when it's a new subdivision, and then people just come and park on them. That was, I think, the point they're trying to make. And just one other thing, when I was at the FCM, I went to the building infrastructure, whatever, and that was very interesting. Stuart Carrig, who's the administrator of the Edmonton Housing Direct Action, they found their developers there did not want to remove the parking minimum. So that was quite interesting because they said they couldn't sell. It was fine for rentals, but not selling. So interesting that we put it back to the developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Perino, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The question that I have for staff is, this report didn't talk about those particular roads where there is generally no parking, but some residents will have a sticker so that they won't get ticketed. And I'm just wondering, is it somewhere? Is it coming in the next stage? I'm just wondering.
Ms.
Thank
Robinson?
you, Councillor Perino. I think you might be referring to resident exempt parking. Just to
Yes.
clarify, the scope of this work is specific to off-street parking for developments. So that would be reviewed under further works for the citywide parking review through a separate bylaw review.
Okay, so is that going to be done, or is that just a whole different section altogether?
Yes, it will be done as part of the citywide parking review. I don't know what the changes, if any, will be, but it will be considered.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any further questions. There is Councillor Hemmons.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that off-street parking regulations bylaw 2026, number 7453, to regulate off-street parking and transportation demand management within the city of Nanaimo pass first reading.
Seconded, Councillor Eastmere. All those in favor? Councillor Eastmere, Gesselbrock, Hemmons, Mayor Krogh, Councillor Manley, Councillor Brown, and Councillor Perino. And those opposed, Councillors Armstrong and Thorpe. Motion carries.
Thank you. I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded, Councillor Eastmere. Any discussion? Councillor Thorpe.
Your Worship, through you, I read this really carefully, and there are lots of things in this report that I agree with and like, and unfortunately there are also some things that I really disagree with personally. And I'll start by saying I have absolute respect for Mr. Rosen and his staff, and for Urban Systems. I always appreciate their advice. And this report, I think, is in line with council direction over the past several years, so I acknowledge that. Our emphasis has very heavily been in recent years on active transportation. And, you know, I support active transportation until it gets to the point where it has a negative impact on traffic flow and the ability of people to move around our streets in vehicles, whether it's cars or delivery trucks, which we are seeing a lot more of. So it's great in theory, but I look at the report and I look at disadvantages of this option. Adoption represents a cultural shift away from traditional car-centric parking expectations, which may raise concerns about parking availability in urban centers. Yes, it does. For me, it does. Huge concerns. So I think back to the master transportation plan that was developed back in 2016 that indicated that the trips taken per day in our city, 88% of them were by vehicles. 2.5% of them were trips taken by bus. 8.5% were trips taken by people walking, and people riding bikes was 1%. So the reality is our population is growing, we have more people, we have more automobiles, we have more delivery trucks, and now we're taking away parking. To me, it's just not in line with the reality that we're faced with. So again, in theory, it's fine. It is in line with council direction, but I can't support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gesselbrock, then Councillor Armstrong.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, I'm in support of this bylaw. I think it's a well-balanced bylaw that gives developers the flexibility with the parking regulations to reduce barriers to build much-needed housing units and to meet the transportation needs of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I agree with much of what Councillor Thorpe said. My biggest concern, I agree with a lot of it, but my biggest concern is having maximum parking. And we saw that when the developer from the one up off Mary Ellen Drive wanted more parking and couldn't get it. And that was a concern, and it remains a concern for them because they're struggling to rent some of them because there's not enough parking. So I have a big issue with that. That's my main reason for not supporting this. I agree with a lot of the other stuff, but the fact that we want to put in parking maximums, again, I just can't agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any further questions. All those in favor, Councilors Eastmere, Gesselbrock, Councilor Hemmens, Mayor Krogh, Councilor Manley, Councilor Brown, Councilor Perino. Those opposed, Councilors Thorpe and Armstrong. Motion carries. Councilor Hemmens.
Thank you. I move that the bylaw pass third reading.
Seconded. Councilor Manley. All those in favor, Councilor Eastmere, Councilor Gesselbrock, Councilor Hemmens, Mayor Krogh, Councilor Manley, Councilor Brown, Councilor Perino, and those opposed, Councilor Thorpe and Councilor Armstrong. Thank you.
I move that council endorse amendments to consideration of variances policy COU-246 and repeal the existing City of Nanaimo policy for consideration of a parking variance, subject to adoption of off-street parking regulations bylaw 2026, number 7453.
Seconded. Councilor Eastmere. All those in favor, Councilor Eastmere, Councilor Gesselbrock, Councilor Hemmens, Mayor Krogh, Councilor Manley, Councilor Brown, Councilor Perino, and those opposed, Councilors Armstrong and Thorpe. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item C, Traffic Demand Management Reserve Fund Bylaw. Ms. Mercer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So with the creation of the new off-street parking regulation bylaw, a corresponding reserve fund bylaw is needed to keep an account of the funds collected for this function. So under the Local Government Act, all cash in lieu payments collected for transportation demand management measures must be deposited into a reserve fund. So the funds can be used in this reserve for capital infrastructure costs as well as debt servicing. So staff are here looking for the first three readings of this bylaw.
Thank you very much. Councilor?
No, I have a question. Yeah. My question is on number one, capital infrastructure cost. Does that include crosswalks? Would that be a capital, or is that just, like, I never know? Does anybody know? If not, I can ask later.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Hemmens.
I move that Traffic Demand Management Reserve Fund Bylaw 2026, number 7456, to establish a Traffic Demand Management Reserve Fund pass first reading.
Seconded, Councilor Armstrong. All those in favor? And any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded, Councilor Armstrong. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
And I move that the bylaw pass third reading.
Seconded, Councilor Thorpe. All those in favor? And any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. We're on to item D, Officer Designation and Delegation of Authority Bylaw and Zoning Bylaw Amendment, Servicing Officer Amendments. That's a mouthful. Mr. Holm, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening to you and Council. So this is coming out of direction provided by Council February 2nd, at its meeting on February 2nd, to prepare amendments to the, I'll just call it the delegation bylaw for simplicity, to designate a servicing officer pursuant to Section 513(2) of the Local Government Act. This is coming out of authority granted to local governments, to municipalities through Bill 16, the Housing Statutes Amendment Act, which allows local governments to create a servicing officer, which is a class of person designated by bylaw who can require road dedication at the time of issuance of a building permit. So the province, in some of the housing-related legislative changes that they've made, they recognize that if local governments are pre-zoning land, one of the challenges that they can run into is not being able to secure road dedication, because typically road dedication is required through at the time of rezoning or subdivision. So designation of a servicing officer would allow that person to require road dedication at the time of building permit issuance. Staff are recommending 3 classes of persons be designated as servicing officer: Director of Planning and Development, Manager of Development Engineering, Manager of Subdivision. These positions are people occupying these positions are also subdivision approving officers currently designated by council. Also accompanying and due to the timing of road dedication required by the servicing officer, at building permit stage. It can be challenging for developers to face uncertainty of having to dedicate land at the building permit stage when they've planned for development on existing parcels. That can impact such issues as a floor area ratio, that's a density relationship between the area of the building and the area of the lot. Lot coverage and setbacks can also be impacted. So an accompanying amendment, staff are recommending amendments to the zoning bylaw that would allow those provisions of the zoning bylaw to apply at building permit application based on the pre-dedication area of the lot. I hope that makes sense. I can explain it more clearly if needed. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Hemmens and Councillor Eastmere. No? It's all right. Councillor Eastmere.
Thank you. It says that, I'm sorry, when would be the public hearing that this would get added to the agenda for? Would it be this Thursday or a future public hearing?
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Eastmere. That would be July, would be the next scheduled public hearing for this, this item.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. No further questions for staff. Councillor Hemmens.
Thank you. I move that Officer Designation and Delegation of Authority Bylaw 2026, number 7353.05, an amendment to designate servicing officers pass first reading.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor? And any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded. Councillor Eastmere. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I move that the bylaw pass third reading.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026, number 4500.257, a zoning bylaw amendment to allow certain zoning provisions to apply based on the lot area and dimensions prior to road dedication required by a servicing officer, pass first reading.
Seconded Councillor Eastmere. All those in favor? And any opposed? None.
I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded Councillor Eastmere. All those in favor? Any opposed? None.
I move that council direct staff to hold a public hearing for zoning amendment bylaw 2026, number 4500.257.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion carries. The next is E, Neighborhood Association Priority Request 2026. Mr. Holm, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Happy to present this item. Council is familiar with this as an annual process. City plan, the official community plan, encourages council, along with council neighborhood supports policy, encourages council to host an annual engagement event with neighborhood associations to hear their priorities. And the fourth such event took place on April 29th. We had 14 neighborhood associations in attendance, as well as staff from all departments of the city, and many on council attended. This event provided an opportunity for neighborhood associations to discuss their requested priority actions in their specific area with council members and staff. That was a facilitated event. Following the event, the recorded requests were sent out to neighborhood associations to allow them an opportunity to verify the wording and intent of their priority requests. There's an attachment to the report. Attachment A contains the finalized 2026 priority request for council to consider on responses received from, based on responses received from neighborhood associations. And it's recommended that staff receive the, that council receive the 2026 neighborhood association priority requests, which would be could be considered for the inclusion in the city's capital plans, budgets, and departmental work plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll move the recommended motion.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Eastmere.
Yeah, I just want to say I think this is probably one of my favorite events that we hold all year as council. I love hearing from residents. I love how residents want so much to speak to staff, and we get to be there and be that facilitator. So just kudos to the staff who put this on. Kudos to the people from the neighborhoods who came out and advocated for what they wanted to see. This is a great program.
Thank you. Councillor Eastmere?
Thank you. Yeah, I think likewise it's also one of my highlights just because it's a great example of when people are really engaged in their neighborhoods, the value of having that neighborhood association. I'm really glad the city's doing more to support the neighborhood associations. And if you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have one, I think this is a real credit to show why it can be valuable. I would love to one day see all of these items actually checked off, and I know that it takes an immense amount of work from the neighborhoods to come up with the priorities and then follow up with staff on them. And I know it also takes a lot of staff work to track these things and try to incorporate them into our existing plans and look for opportunities. So I just know that a lot of effort goes into both making these lists and then trying to get these things done. And I wish we could wave a magic wand and do all of them, because I think the city would be a really great place if we could get all of these things done. But I do think they're all possible and manageable. So I really appreciate the time that's gone into refining them and making sure that they're reasonable and achievable goals. And yeah, I'm really grateful for people thinking in such detail about what items will make the city a better place to live. So thank you.
Thank you. I concur with my learned friends, as they say in the Court of Appeal. Ms. Gurry?
Just Councillor Perino has her hand raised.
Oh, Councillor Perino, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick question through you to staff. So we now have this list. It's excellent. I agree with everything that the last two councillors have said. I'm just wondering, do staff stay in touch with the different associations so that they know what's happening, and when some of these things are checked off, do they hear back to the neighborhood associations? How does that work?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Perino, yes, great question. So there are check-in, so the staff, pending council's support for these action items, they can be considered in work plans, budgets, and staff do check back with neighborhood associations and update on the status of the items, and in preparation for March 2027 would be the a report on the progress that's provided as well, a progress report update in advance of the 2027, the next year's engagement event with neighborhood associations. So we do check in on specific projects, and some of them require meetings with neighborhood associations as well, and then there is an update, status update prior to the next engagement event next year.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion or questions, all those in favor and any opposed, none, motion carries. On to F, pre-zoning for social housing. Mr. Holm, again, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't say too much here. This is an important project. I know Council has been anticipating this, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Began to give you an overview of where we're at with this. Thanks.
Ms. Began, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before I begin, I just want to remind everybody what we mean by social housing, because that is commonly the first question I get when I speak about this project. And so social housing is housing for everybody, and it is intended to be subsidized to be lower than the average cost of market housing, and it does not include supportive housing and shelters. So if Council recalls, we presented in January of this year a draft framework. We went out in February and March to seek feedback on that draft framework. We used a variety of outreach tools, including a video and social media, to get the word out. And we held survey workshops as well as a presentation to special interest groups to receive feedback. Cumulatively, we heard 740 inputs that have been summarized in the What We Heard engagement summary. And if you look through that report, we received a mix of support for some of the various elements that we were proposing, and very constructive feedback that we recommend perhaps looking at expanding into the future with this program. So based on the engagement results, we did amend the original approach to address some of the concerns raised, and we are proposing a zoning amendment bylaw which includes a social housing zone that is optional and allows for an increase in height and density if a set of conditions are met. So I just want to go through a few of the things that were amended and to address some of the concerns that council had mentioned in January. So we're recommending that about 7% of all parcels in the city be pre-zoned or be called eligible parcels for this optional zone. Heritage properties listed in city plan, our official community plan, have been excluded to address concerns raised by council and the community. A height limit of 6 stories has also been placed for the majority of the primary urban center, also known as our downtown, to align with the downtown area plan policies. We also heard regarding the tenure, limiting it to rental. There was a desire to include both rental and ownership. However, as we mentioned in January, ownership is very challenging and resource intensive to establish, manage, and enforce. Ownership qualification criteria. Rental, and specifically non-market rentals, also a provincial housing target priority. We also address concerns around 100% of the capital costs having to come from some level of government, and we heard that that is too restrictive, so we opened that up to be more flexible. And lastly, we did undertake architectural testing to ensure that the social housing zone is drafted in a way that is in line with city plan policies. So in conclusion, it is recommended that council proceed with first and second reading of the zoning amendment bylaw, number 4500-256, which is a social housing zone, and that if that moves forward, that we will move forward to public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Armstrong?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for the report. It came to the Accessibility Committee, and it was really appreciated, learned a lot from it. I think this will help us get stuff up a lot faster and eliminate a lot of costs. So I think it's a great report and a great idea. Thank you.
I concur. Councillor Hemmens?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I completely agree with Councillor Hemmens. I am curious, however, pardon me. I agree with myself. Oh gosh, hello Monday. The survey and the workshop data are remarkably different. So the capital cost, 41% that said they strongly agree that it should be fully funded by government, but the workshop is 100% disagree. So what's the variation there? Were we targeting developers in the workshop and residents in the survey?
Through the mayor to Councillor Hemmens. Yes, the workshop was held specifically with nonprofit housing providers, for-profit housing providers, and faith-based organizations because they have experience with providing social housing in Nanaimo as well as supportive and shelters. And so it was directly engagement with them on these topics.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gesselbrock.
Thanks. Just a question on the barrier, the limit for affordability. We landed on 20% below market, and the range was 10% to 30%. And I guess, you know, if we look at average CMHC housing costs, and then we just take 20% off of that, for a lot of people, like in the low income bracket, it's still going to be unaffordable. So it doesn't seem to me like it quite meets the mark in that sense. And I'm curious, one, using the average CMHC rent for Nanaimo as the benchmark, and then just going 20% below the average as opposed to like the low end. Because if we're doing average rent and say it's like $1,800 and going 20%, well, it's going to be like, you know, $1,400, and that's still, you know, at the limited price range for like quite a lot of people. And so, yeah. So, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, through the mayor to Councillor Gesselbrock, we heard from the community a desire for upwards of 30% or more. We heard from the developers a desire for 10% or less. And we heard from the nonprofit housing providers somewhere between 15 to 25%. We use the average market rent per CMHC because that aligns with the new DCC reduction definition that council looked at recently. And so we did ensure there was alignment there. In terms of the level of affordability, it's a starting point, and it gives us an opportunity to amend it if we're seeing that it's not affordable, but we also have to make sure that it is financially viable for development to come forward. And so it's a recommendation right now that we start at 20% below market and then see how the program progresses over time.
Right, okay, yeah, and I guess the concern, you know, I'm just looking at the different needs to make it, you know, actually affordable for low, medium income, and it does require, you know, building innovation, the cheaper financing, and then removing some of these barriers. And so I think what we could see, and maybe it is just a matter of like sit back and see what happens, but I am concerned that we'll pre-zone a bunch of properties and get something that really isn't that affordable for the actual demographics we're trying to hit. So I just want to flag that as a concern. And also, I want to see something get done and put forward and supportable, and then adjust as we need to as a strategy. But I do hold some serious reservations about the bar that was set there at the 20%. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes, did you want to say something in response?
Sure, thank you, Your Worship. Maybe I'll just add to a bit of context. So we do hear from a number of the nonprofit housing providers as well that, and from BC Housing, that often now they're looking to and at 20% probably fits closer to and is maybe even more than what we're going to see in some of the BC Housing projects that are coming forward. But we do see that they're targeting low end of market housing as well. So they have to, there's a viability issue if they go too low. But actually over time, the idea is over time. And if we held, if public housing had been developed, continuously developed through the 90s, early 2000s, it would be held. You're not going to see the same rental rate increases as we've seen in the private sector housing. So if non-profit holders do bring more to the table, even though it's, like you say, it's maybe not deeply affordable, you know, based on current rents, you won't see the idea, part of the idea is you won't see the rents increase as greatly as we've seen in the market rental over time. So over time, we'll see the idea is we'll see a greater pool of non-market housing that's going to have more gradual rent increases. That's in line with the nonprofits mandates. So that's one of the things that we did hear from some of the participants. I just thought I'd add that. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Manley, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, thank you for the report and for the work. This applies mainly to future, or for the secondary urban cores, the urban core and corridors. Does it apply to the neighborhood corridors or any other areas where 4-story buildings are going to be okay?
Through the mayor to Councillor Manley, currently the scope includes primary urban center, which is downtown, the 7 secondary urban centers, mixed-use corridor and residential corridor. It will exclude the neighborhood designation, the suburban neighborhood designation, and any other designation at this time. We're focusing where we have the higher density and height options to make the projects viable.
And where there's good solid transit routes.
Correct. Near transit routes and services and amenities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Himmons, please.
Thank you. I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026, number 4500.256, social housing zone, pass first reading.
Seconded, Councillor Eastmere. All those in favor? And any opposed? None. Motion carries.
I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded, Councillor Manley. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Sorry, Councillor Gesselbrock.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, I just wanted to say that I do think that the pre-zoning for social housing makes a lot of sense. I think it's important that we do reduce barriers to getting the much-needed affordable housing built in the community, and it is one piece of a very multi-pieced puzzle that can help. I will support this. I do want to, on record that I do have some reservations about the 20% threshold being set, and we'll be watching this closely to see the uptake and if it needs to be adjusted. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Manley.
Thank you. I'm very supportive as well. Anything that we can do to accelerate affordable housing in the community is important, and so looking forward to seeing this go to a public hearing. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor and any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you very much. The next is 13, development reports, and A, development variance permit application number DVP.
Your worship, we didn't do third reading.
Sorry, pardon me, I'm rushing. Councillor Hemmens,
Glad
you
it's
go
not
ahead.
me this time. I move that council direct staff to hold a public hearing for zoning amendment bylaw 2026, number 4500.256.
Seconded Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor, any opposed? None. Motion carries. Now we're on to development variance permit application number DVP 491-202 and 210 4th Street. I'm going to declare a conflict. I know the family involved very well, and I just don't feel it would be right for me to deal with this matter accordingly. I'll turn the chair over to Councillor Hemmens.
And I will turn it over to staff for a staff report, please.
Madam Chair, there usually isn't any introductions for the development reports, but you are going to request anyone wishing to speak to this matter come up.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this matter? I see none. Would someone care to make the recommended motion? Councillor Eastmere, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? I see none opposed.
The next is item 1213B, development permit application number DP 1357-5180 Universal Place. There is a recommended motion. So moved. Councillor Manley is a seconder. Councillor Hemmens, any discussion? Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Gesselbrock.
Yeah, I just, I have some concerns about this for the simple fact we already have so many issues on Lost Lake. Is that road going to be able to take the added traffic? Was that looked at? I know it probably doesn't require a traffic study, but you know, we're getting constant complaints about how narrow it is. There's no sidewalks. There's so many issues. Will that put an added issue on it, or can it move off to another road that I'm missing?
Mr. Holm.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Armstrong. So you're correct. The development didn't meet the threshold to trigger a traffic impact assessment, and we do anticipate that there will be additional parking, obviously, on Universal Place.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. The development did not, you're correct, the development did not trigger the threshold to require a traffic impact assessment. And we do anticipate additional on-street parking on Universal Place as well. I don't know how far, I mean, it'll be difficult to predict, but I don't know how, you're right, Lost Lake Road is, challenging with respect to on-street parking. I don't know how far from the development people would be, I guess it would be a behavioral thing, but how far from the development they'd be willing to park and walk. The developer did provide, is proposing to provide additional opportunity for bicycle parking as well on site, and supports to for alternative transportation. It as well as it's a co-housing development, and they anticipate the vehicle usage and behavior will be different than a typical market development, and they anticipate that they're providing sufficient parking to meet the needs.
And just one other question, if I may. With the removal of all those trees, seeing as it is a steep slope, will that have a big impact on slope stability?
They will, through your worship to Councillor Armstrong, so they will undertake appropriate geotechnical assessments to ensure that slope stability is retained. Yeah, it is a steep site, and they do anticipate a fair amount of site grading, and they've designed the buildings to help to achieve some of the site grading as well. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gesselbrock, then Councillor Eastmere.
Thanks, Mayor. Through you, I'm very in support of this rezoning. I've been kind of tracking the process of getting it to this place, and the co-housing model is a really interesting one, and I know the folks behind this will be really focusing on livability and making this a really great place to live, and so I'm happy to see that it's made it this far, and wish all the luck to the folks behind this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Eastmere.
Thank you. I wanted to speak in support of this because I think the co-housing model is one that people are looking for. It gives an avenue into the ownership market for people who are sometimes not able to access it otherwise, and the unit types with like the 3-bedroom townhouses, it includes 5 of those, 9 2-bedroom townhouses, and then it also in the 1 and 2-bedroom apartments, 4 are accessible in the 1-bedroom and 2 are accessible in the 2-bedroom. So I think that's a really important aspect here because it's a type of housing that we do need. And I remember it coming through design panel, and the design panel was pretty supportive of this. They did make some recommendations, and as a result, a few tweaks have been made, including adding some more trees. So I'm appreciative of the design panel's work on this, and we'll be voting in support of this. But I do hear the concerns about the increased traffic on Lost Lake Road, and I remain committed to trying to do what we can to slow traffic along Lost Lake Road and to make it a safer experience for pedestrians. So I would support any future traffic calming and pedestrian improvements along Lost Lake Road.
Thank you, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I am very supportive of this as well. I think the co-housing model is a very interesting community building model, and the co-housing, Pacific Gardens co-housing community on 7th has been very successful, and I know they have less parking spaces there as well, but also co-op car handy, which is well used, and it's a real community building project. So I think I wish them all the success in getting this done. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments?
Yes.
Councillor Thorpe.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm sorry, but I can't resist. I support this project, and I will vote in favor of it, but I have to express my ongoing concern about parking variations, and we saw it in the last proposal that we just passed, and I voted for. We see it in this proposal where the variation goes from 50 to 39 parking spaces, and the staff report even notes that this may result in spillover parking in the surrounding neighborhood. We're doing this more, and we're just putting more cars parked on neighborhood roads, which causes other problems. In this case, it's 29 units, and there's only allowance for 3 visitor parking spaces. On the other hand, we have 29 spaces for secure bike parking. Again, this is great in theory. I don't think it reflects the reality of transportation patterns or parking problems in the city. So I will support the project, but I'm really discouraged by this ongoing, not ignoring, but varying of parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone further? Ms. Curry, did we move the motion? We've been chatting so long. Oh, good.
It's on the floor.
All those in favor? And any opposed? None. Motion carries. The next is C, Liquor License Amendment Application Number LA 159-240 Skinner Street. We do have a delegation. Carl Butterworth, Director, Harbor Dance Studios, Inc. Mr. Butterworth, good evening. If you can introduce yourself for the record, you'll have 5 minutes, and when there's a minute left, I'll let you know.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. And perhaps I can introduce myself through my speech that I've carefully written out. And I won't require the 1-minute warning. Thank you very much. Your Worship, councillors, city staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Carl Butterworth. My wife Stacy and I own Harbour Dance Studios. We've been a literal cornerstone of the Arts District for 37 years. With an enrollment of 350 students, we bring approximately 300 families downtown several times each week. We are an anchor business, and many businesses state that our clients are a significant factor in their success. We operate from 9 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. 37 years of continuous operation means that we predate all downtown clubs except the Palace Hotel. Not only have we earned the right to be where we are, we make downtown a brighter, more diverse, and friendlier place. 5 minutes is not enough time to relate all of the negative impacts the Sweet Spot Lounge has had on our business since switching to strippers in February. Increasing the hours during which the Sweet Spot Lounge can serve alcohol will further damage our business and the reputation of downtown Nanaimo. The proponent has stated that he will use the increased hours for a sports bar and special events. We can all guess what the special events will be, as the interior has been purpose renovated to accommodate only one kind of event. In my discussions with the proponent, he stated that he couldn't keep operating as a karaoke club because people came in, ordered water, and sat there all night. As a result, he was so desperate to make money that he convinced himself that it was okay to open a strip club next to a children's school. If a strip show at noon, afternoon, evening, and nighttime is what makes money, that is what he will do. That is what he has done so far. To believe that he will operate a sports bar from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. is naive at best. I should point out to council that the Old City Station pub is an actual sports bar that is open from 11 a.m. until 2 a.m. and is 1 block away from the proponent's location. The Palace Hotel serves alcohol from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and is located 30 feet from the proponent's location. Creating even more daytime opportunities to serve alcohol will not improve the vibrancy of downtown, as city staff characterizes it in their report. It will cause more conflicts. I have serious concerns with the report produced by city staff. The public notice and comment sheet circulated by staff says the city is, quote, responsible for gathering the views of local residents and business owners. Nowhere on the form does it state that the city will only use feedback from entities located within 100 meters of the subject property. Staff stated that 7 feedback forms were received from within the arbitrary 100-meter radius, and 175 were received from outside of it. To change the rules after the consultation process has been concluded represents a breach of procedural fairness by ignoring the results of feedback it solicited, which was provided in good faith. This also represents a failure to consider relevant considerations by deliberately limiting the information given to decision makers. I believe it is incumbent on council to discard this report. I say this because some of the forms received were simply comments, but many of the sheets are better described as victim impact statements. I will bring up one example. One of our clients was leaving the dance studio with her children. As she walked past our parking lot, she and her 2 children heard a group of men smoking outside the club comparing the vaginas of different strippers. Who doesn't like a good vagina was part of the commentary. If you don't like hearing the word vagina in council proceedings, imagine the level of discomfort when your mother on her own at night walking past a group of men who clearly have little respect for women. Then imagine trying to explain the situation to your daughters who are 8 and 10. The people whose comments city staff have ignored spend between 2 and 25 hours downtown at our dance studio each week. That's more time than many part-time employees in the surrounding businesses. Their comments deserve to be considered, and once again, 5 minutes is not long enough to describe all of the negative impacts. Nanaimo's official community plan asks the question, what does a healthy Nanaimo look like in a neighborhood? It follows with 7 aspirational statements that achieve a healthy Nanaimo. 4 of these statements are a caring, healthy, accessible, inclusive, and safe community that empowers its community members to realize their aspirations. A high degree of perceived and actual public safety and security where all people can equitably live, work, play, create, and learn. A safe downtown.
1 minute.
A safe downtown with less instances of people encountering negative experiences in downtown and throughout the community. Safe and security in all parts of the city, supporting a diverse community members and businesses to thrive. Council, I ask you, how does extending the hours during which a strip club can serve alcohol reduce the number of negative experiences people will have downtown? How does increasing the amount of time per day that women are degraded and exploited for profit create a healthier Nanaimo? How does more daytime intoxication in the Arts District improve safety and security? How does the removal of a business like ours create a more diverse community of businesses downtown? It is bad enough that Nanaimo is now known across Canada for having a strip club next to a children's school. We beg you not to compound this problem. Please do not approve the extension for the liquor license to this club. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Councillor Manley.
Thank you for your presentation. Have you had neighbors like this in the past? Was there a club like this in the, below the Painted Turtle?
There was, not in the last 37 years. We've had the club concept where this club is now operating. Before that, there wasn't a club there that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We've always had Club 241 / Club Concept / The Jungle and the Palace Hotel.
But in the Painted Turtle, there was a gambling facility there. Was there a strip club there at one point?
Does anybody know? There was an off-racetrack horse betting thing there when I came here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smear.
Thank you. So just to clarify, in the report, it says that they're asking for the extended hours to have a sports bar and potential events during that those earlier hours. It doesn't give you any sense of more confidence that it wouldn't be like, let's call them the nighttime activities that happen at that club, and it's more like the sports bar oriented thing during the day?
Having worked with the proponent, tried to find a way forward on this, no, I don't believe that what he is saying is what will happen in fact. However, we don't know that until it goes forward. I know that we come into considerable conflict with their patrons and their staff over use of our parking lot, which they use and abuse at their will. I know if they start earlier in the day, that means our staff, who are all female, will be struggling to find parking at our building and will have to park further away and walk into work, not being able to get parking at their own place of work.
And so you have a shared parking lot, or it's just the?
No, we own the parking lot entirely, and they use it at their own discretion. We've struggled because if we start towing people, then as drunk come out of the club, find their car towed, then I'm getting rocks through the back of my building and all the windows, which are $3,000 a piece. So I'm loath to tow cars when I know I'm going to experience the negative blowback from drunk people.
Okay, I appreciate you sharing your experience, and I'm sorry you're experiencing this. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Councillor Prino.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to the speaker. Your presentation was excellent. I'm just wondering, you had talked about a couple of the other establishments that serve food and alcohol, and they're open from the 11 to the 2 a.m. Do you experience any problems with them for your business?
We do, Councillor, but it's been 37 years. We're quite used to it. I clean up puke, feces, urine,
yes.
Needles, all sorts of stuff on a regular basis.
Yes.
However, we are downtown and we appreciate that. And there is, there's a certain amount of being downtown. This is what we put up with. And the clients who come to us are used to that. So that hasn't been an impediment in the past. But
okay.
With the specific nature of this business, with its conflict with a school, it has been an ongoing issue. And honestly, the other bars employ professionals in terms of bouncers and other staff who are able to control their patrons to a much higher degree.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Your Worship, when it comes time for staff, I have some questions for staff if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Butterworth, a couple of questions. The entrance to the dance school is off Bastion, is that correct?
One entrance is off of Bastion and one is through our parking lot, sir.
Through parking lot. But you said the parking lot is for staff use?
Yes, for staff of Harbor Dance Studios.
Okay. So the general public, though, is entering off Bastion. I just want to be clear here and try and understand it.
We have two entrances. So Bastion Street is where about 80% of our clientele go in through. We have a lower studio in the basement that you're required to go around the building into the parking lot and then enter into that through that area.
Okay.
So we do have clients of all ages from 6, I think, at the youngest, up to 20 at the oldest, plus then our adult classes who are all ages who go in through the parking lot entrance.
And I say this, and I want to emphasize, not as a patron, but I'm old enough to remember that the flat-roofed building beside the Palace Hotel was the law offices of Greer, Morton, and Sproul, as I recall, and that operated as a strip club for a number of years, too, during your tenure. Is that correct and fair?
The one that's across the road?
Yes.
That's now Club Evolve? Yes. When we first purchased the studio, it was still a jungle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And look, I'm going to ask you, you said it would take a long time to discuss them, but what other kinds of incidents are you referring to when you say that it's been very challenging for you?
We've had 2 incidents. We have a fence that protects the back stairs into our building. On 2 incidents now, that's been knocked down by cars. The second one was by a drunk driver. Fortunately, there was a witness to that one who reported that a person came out of the club, had parked their truck in our parking lot, backed up, hit our fence, and then drove away in a very erratic manner. That was reported to police, thankfully. The person was charged with leaving the scene of an accident, but was not able to be charged with impaired driving. I have a video camera on the back parking lot. I regularly see patrons come out of the sweet spot, go into our parking lot, go to our dumpster, pee on the dumpster, and go back with the bouncers watching them. We had our neighbor, who owns the parking block, had an escort agency try to set up in their business about 2 months after this club had opened. I don't suggest that had anything to do specifically with the people from the club. However, one kind of business draws another kind of business. We were very, very thankful that she turned that down, much to her own financial detriment. There's the emotional impact to our clients. I related one story, but those impact reports, the surveys you got back, I would welcome you to read them. There are many more in there. Our problem is that we're looking at having to fence our parking lot as a minimum, and that's $50,000. And really, nobody's making a lot of money teaching children how to dance. So that's an incredible financial burden for us to bear. The garbage and waste on our property has always been a problem. It's gone up a little bit, but it's not anything that's not unusual.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any other questions. Councillor Perino again? Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. A couple of questions for staff. My understanding is that...
Sorry, Councillor Perino, if may I let the delegation sit down then?
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Butterworth. Appreciate your time. Councillor Perino.
Sorry, Your Worship. A question to staff, if I might. I'm just wondering, my understanding is that the proponent is asking for the hours, of course, to switch from 7 p.m. start time to 11 a.m. start time. Is that, are they asking, or I'm saying it incorrectly, would they be allowing exotic dancers from as early as 11 a.m. on, as far as we know, or is that just for the evening hours?
Mr. Holm.
Thank you. Through your worship to Councillor Perino, that's not their stated intent, although the use, the adult entertainment use is permitted anywhere a nightclub is permitted, which this is operating as. So this is a permitted use on the property. Council's being asked to consider is a expansion of the liquor service hours, and that's a requirement. That's a requirement of the province for council to consider input from the community and provide comment on the expansion of hours to the liquor primary license. So I know the challenge with some of the concerns in the community. It's understandable related to the adult entertainment use, but it is it's a
permitted use.
It is a permitted use, and what's being asked is expansion of the liquor service hours, not explicitly the expansion of the adult entertainment use. It's really a separate issue, but I can understand the concern. And so the application was reviewed in accordance with the city's liquor license review policy. Council's established, as well as the Liquor Control and Licensing Act, the requirements of the province. And in Council's liquor license review policy, there's a requirement to provide notice within 100 meters and provide a 30-day comment period. Although notices with the staff report speaks to 182 comment sheets being provided. It does include all of the comment sheets provided. It just breaks down that 7 of those were from within the 100-meter notification area, whereas 175 were from outside the notification area, just to clarify that item as well. So.
Okay, and just one more quick question. My understanding with the way these applications work is that if we agree and move it forward, then it goes on to the government. The government may or may not agree to it. Even if we vote against it, it may still go to the government and may still be passed. Is that correct?
Good question. I think the Liquor Control and Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch takes council's input strongly. They do hold the final decision, but they do look strongly to local government comment as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Thorpe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to staff, if I may, I just want to be clear, because I sense that we're confusing a couple of different issues here. And one of the issues we seem to be talking about is the type of club or operation that this is. And that's not under debate. It's a nightclub. It's allowed to be there. It's allowed to have adult entertainment. That's not at issue. All we're talking about is extension of the hours to serve liquor from 11 instead of from 7 p.m. 11 a.m. instead of from 7 p.m. So I think we need to focus on that. And as Councillor Perino has indicated, even if we indicate support, it still has to go to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch to make a determination. To me, most restaurants or clubs, and I could stand to be corrected here, but I think most do have liquor sales earlier in the day. So I'm not sure that I see anything compelling here to deny this application, and to confuse that with the type of club it is, where they're allowed to have the entertainment they do, I think is not irrelevant, but I don't think it's germane to our decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I agree with the comments of Councillor Thorpe. We have to recognize it doesn't matter what's in there. It's, do we agree with having a liquor license from 11 o'clock or do we leave it at 7? I worked this area for many, many years back in the 90s when there were 7 strip clubs in the area. No issues. I've followed this on Facebook with the majority of people in favor of the extension of the license, and most of them said they're more concerned about seeing addicts and people passed out on the street and what they're doing than somebody leaving a place where you can't see inside. So I think, as Councillor Thorpe says, you have to remove what's being used there, whether it was a restaurant or whether it's a bar. Do you extend the liquor license? You can't go to what the use is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eastmere.
Thank you. Through you, just a procedural question. Like, there's, I believe, someone involved with the application in the audience who's like putting their hand up, and I'm just wondering, like, there was an opportunity to sign up as a delegation. So at this point, like,
Ms. Gurry?
Yes, Your Worship, there was an opportunity to sign up as a delegation, and so the procedure bylaw doesn't allow speakers from the audience.
okay, yeah, I appreciate that that clarification. Like, I wish that I could have heard more in response, particularly to the first delegation. And so, like, I can't just take comments from the audience into consideration, but I appreciate being here. Like, I would say that council has received a fair bit of concern from the community about this establishment, and whether those concerns are warranted or not. I do appreciate hearing from the first delegation, and I understand why people have concerns, and I think that, like, the read that I'm getting from the community is that there's not a whole lot of, like, social license for this extension. I haven't seen or read very much support at all, and I find it a really tough one. So I'm appreciating hearing people's comments tonight.
Thank you. Councillor Gesselbrock.
I'd like to move that council deny the application to the Liquor Cannabis Regulation Branch.
Well, the motion is that recommend that the Liquor and Licensed Cannabis Regulation approve the application to amend existing liquor primary license.
So I move that council recommend that the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch deny the application to amend an existing liquor primary license for an entertainment use at 240 Skinner Street.
Second. Seconded. Councillor Brown. Discussion on this.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion. I think what we need to focus on here is that there's a strip club that has been allowed because we haven't updated our zoning bylaw which includes strip clubs to be allowed as part of the entertainment district. And it has unfortunately led to a strip club be located right beside a children's dance studio. And I think we can all appreciate the consternation of the many families that utilize this dance studio with their young children going through there, being co-located by a strip club. There's been a tremendous amount of opposition towards this, and I think realizing that it is a permitted use, there's been a certain level of acceptance that this is going to be a strip club operating from 7 to 2 o'clock in the morning around this. However, now the request is to allow it to be able to serve liquor and operate starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. And although there may be sports entertainment that will be there, this is a strip club, and we will be extending the hours where liquor is going to be allowed there. And I think that it's very unreasonable to do this for multiple reasons. Some very colorfully outlined by the delegation that spoke. So I think that it is responsible to deny this application, and that I do think council in the future, given that I think this is, a bit of a social dinosaur. There's only 2 strip clubs left on Vancouver Island, the other in Campbell River, to look at amending our zoning bylaw so that strip clubs are not allowed in part of the entertainment district in the future, so we don't run into this ridiculous situation of having a strip club being co-located right beside a children's dance studio. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Manley.
Thank you. I won't vote in support. I think the big issue that, again, is said, we can't look at it as a strip club because that can change tomorrow. It's not a strip club, it's an entertainment. Like, we have to be really careful with that. And I think because this council has approved other ones, whatever, I think we wouldn't even last in a court challenge, because you can't look at the purpose that it's a strip club. This is, can they extend their liquor license? That's all it's about. Secondly, strip clubs have been around this community for years. Some are gone, they're back, whatever. I don't know what the big issue is, because they never see the women that are operating in there. We see more coming out of some pubs at night that are with drunk people. It doesn't matter whether it be a strip club or a regular pub or a restaurant. I've seen them come out of that as well. I've seen more people passed out on the streets and different acts of sexual stuff by some of our homeless people and others that are strung out than what I'm seeing coming out of a strip club. The police have zero issues with it. They're quite happy with the performance, saying that they've got a good neighborhood agreement, which from their perspective is excellent. So when your police are in favor and your bylaws and your staff are, I feel it's incumbent to be in favor, or to be opposed to this particular motion. I'm in favor of extending the license.
Thank you, Councillor Manley.
I'm in support of denying the extended license. I think there's not a social license for this. I don't think it's in the public interest to be serving liquor in a strip club during daytime hours in our downtown. We've been working hard on trying to revitalize our downtown space, and it's a party zone at night, and let's just keep it a party zone at night. Thanks.
Thank you. And just to confirm, Mr. Holm, the staff report provides that out of 7 comment sheets received from the notification area, in other words, other businesses essentially within the area, 5 supported the application and 2 opposed, correct?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. That's correct.
And the remaining 175 submissions were received from outside the notification area, and they were all opposed to it.
I believe that's true.
Page
yes, they
281.
were opposed. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
And they're all included in attachment B to the report.
Your Worship, Councillor Brown has his hand raised.
Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Your Worship. Very much support the motion on the floor. Unlike some of the other comments that have been made, I would say it's incorrect to say that the type of use can't be looked at. It's very clear the provincial policy on what councils can look at, and one of them is the impact to the community. Arguably, the extension of liquor hours for an exotic dancing establishment is a very different type of proposal than an extension of liquor license hours for a restaurant or a pub. So I do think it's, well, I can appreciate the argument. I actually don't think it's valid because we're talking about provincial policy here and the things that council can consider, one of them being impact to the community. For those reasons, and I think very highlighted by Councillor Gesselbrock, I won't repeat, I support the motion on the floor, and I think at some point in the future, it would be very much wise to change the zoning and do these on a site-specific use if a proposal comes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perino.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is difficult. I think Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Thorpe both made some excellent comments in that this is an allowed use of the building, and I have no problem with that. That's it has been allowed. It's fine. I don't have a problem, but I do have a problem with it going from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. And I think it's important to note that some of the people who may have sent in comments may have been families of some of the children attending the dance school. I certainly know of one who's been in touch with me, and they're very concerned about their children attending the school, and they love the school. So that's not an issue for them. And I think it's important that, you know, from the school's perspective, they're concerned about this, but also from the actual establishment that is hosting the strip club, they have a right as well. So I'm not proposing that I would be against necessarily closing them up, you know, or changing the zoning necessarily. But I do think that having them opened with alcohol at 7 p.m. is certainly early enough, and it attracts a different kind of clientele in the evening, and I think that that's appropriate. So I'll be voting in favor of the motion by Director Gesselbrock.
Thank you very much. I'm not suggesting for a moment I'm influenced by the date of October 17th for less than 4 months to an election, and you have 175 people who've written in and said they are opposed to the extension, and you've had cogent arguments from Councillors Thorpe and Armstrong about the use and if it's permitted use, and yes, our bylaws and zoning may be somewhat behind, but candidly, please note the recommended motion is the council recommend the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch deny the application. I want to emphasize something. This council has approved virtually every cannabis store that's come before it. With great respect, the use of cannabis, it is becoming apparent to me, is far more damaging and dangerous to this community than whether or not we have another one or more liquor establishments and whether or not those include adult entertainment. So as much as I am sympathetic to the challenges faced, it seems to me that the behaviors that are occurring that are disturbing and legitimately so to Mr. Butterworth and the dance school are things that need to be enforced. And we have good neighbor agreements and other things that can work to enforce that. So as much as I appreciate I'll be in the minority tonight, I'll be voting with Councillors Armstrong and Thorpe on this. The motion is to recommend that the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch deny the application. All those in favor of the motion, Councillors Eastmere, Gesselbrock, Manley, Brown, and Perino, and those opposed, Councillors Armstrong, Councillor Hemmens, Mayor Krogh, Councillor Thorpe. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Vigorous debate tonight. We're on to 13D, rezoning application number RA523-2335, Departure Bay Road. Again, I know the proponent fairly well, unfortunately, and will be declaring a conflict accordingly and will remove myself. Over to you, Councillor Hemmens.
Ms. Gurry, do we have a staff introduction on this one? Okay.
We just go directly to the delegation chair,
okay.
So.
Mr. Scott Mack, come on down.
Where is the clicker for the... Thank you.
Mr. Mack, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of council. My name is Scott Mack. I'm the managing partner for Townsite Planning, and I'm here this evening on behalf of my client regarding item 13D on your agenda. which is a rezoning application, RA 523. Townsite Planning submitted an application to the City of Nanaimo on behalf of our client to rezone the subject property from R1 to a mix of R5 and R8 medium-density residential zoning. The property is 1.14 acres in size and designated for residential development in city plan, which supports building forms and the densities found in both the R5 and the R8 zones. The property is also located 2 blocks from Brooks Landing and Solaire Elementary School, providing excellent access to shopping, employment, and education, all within close walking distance. And the property is located on Departure Bay Road, which is an urban collector roadway and has a major transit route running directly past the property, with several other routes also available at Brooks Landing. I'm going to skip ahead of this slide because I'm going to talk about it in the next one. Here you can see the proposed 4-lot layout of the property with the proposed R8 lot facing Departure Bay Road to the east, which is proposed to accommodate a small multifamily building. Based on the topography of the site, this building would be 4 stories facing Departure Bay Road, but only 3 stories facing the rear lane. Roughly 35 to 50% of the required parking for the R8 site is proposed to be located underneath the building, with the remaining parking located at the rear of the building and accessed via the lane. The western portion of the site would be zoned to R5 in order to accommodate 3 lots, providing for a density transition as you move away from the busier Departure Bay Road towards Lindburn Crescent. The proposed R5 zoning would match the existing zoning that already exists on the west side of Lindburn Crescent and on the development directly to the north. You can also see on the site plan the proposed extension of the lane from Sandringham Avenue running north-south through the site, which will provide access for all of the lots. The lane will eliminate an existing dangerous driveway access onto Departure Bay Road and also significantly reduces the impact from new development on the existing local roads. We have also proposed a pedestrian connection running east-west along the southern boundary of the site between Departure Bay Road and Lindburn Crescent, and of course there will be frontage improvements on both Departure Bay Road and Lindburn at the time of development. In terms of community engagement, we did hold a neighborhood open house last spring, and a total of 16 residents attended the meeting. While we did hear some of the typical concerns that you might expect to hear at this type of meeting regarding development in general, there were also several attendees who expressed support for and interest in the project. Regarding amenities, we acknowledge that the city recently adopted a new amenity cost charge bylaw that will come into effect in January of 2029. We had originally proposed a CAC of approximately $125,000 based on the city's now rescinded policy, but have since updated the proposal to match the rates in the new ACC bylaw, which we anticipate will result in the contribution of approximately $131,000. These funds would be directed towards the city's Affordable Housing Reserve Fund and the Parks Reserve Fund. Finally, we of course watched with great interest as council deliberated the rezoning application further down the hill in recent weeks at 2565 Departure Bay Road. We noted that council expressed some concern with the proponent's application in terms of this idea of potentially showing something at the rezoning stage and then coming in later and looking for more or additional density than what was shown at the time of rezoning. And we saw obviously what was done in order to address that concern with that application. In discussions with staff, we've essentially proposed a very similar restriction with our application where the maximum density would be capped at 1.0 FAR, which reflects the density that is shown in our proposal and is significantly less than the 1.85 FAR, which might otherwise be permitted without any restriction based on the R8 zoning. In closing, just wanted to emphasize a couple of key points. One, our application aligns with the density and policy objectives of City Plan, especially now even more so with the additional commitment to the maximum FAR. The site is centrally located and on a major roadway with excellent access to multiple transit routes, shopping and employment, all within easy walking distance. It provides new amenities, both in the form of new pedestrian connection between Departure Bay Road and Lindburn Crescent, and through frontage improvements at the time of development, as well as through a significant cash amenity contribution. And ultimately, our proposal generated very little concern or feedback through the public consultation process. As a result, we respectfully request that Council grant first, second, and third reading this evening. If you have any questions, I would be happy to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. A couple of questions for you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I don't know, I couldn't see it. Where is access going to be? Is it going to be off of Lindburn, or is it going to be off of Departure Bay?
Through the chair to Councillor Armstrong, the access would actually, at this point in time, would come off of Sandringham Avenue, because all of the development, the 3 R5 lots as well as the R8 lot, would all be provided to access from the lane that's going to run through the center of the site.
So that
lane-
development there, like to the north of it, that's owned by the same developer, so he has access to those roads?
It's a public lane that exists through that site now, that abuts at my client's property. So we would be extending that public lane through my client's property, and then ultimately, if the property to the south were ever developed, that public lane could be further extended as you move to the south.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further questions from council. Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Question for staff.
Councillor Manley, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question through you to staff. So the 1.0 FAR, is that, I didn't see that as a covenanted thing. Is that, how is that guaranteed in the proposal?
Thank you for the question. Through the chair to Councillor Manley, yeah, that would be site specific for the property.
Okay.
Through the zoning. So.
Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't see it in the report. It was on the conditions of rezoning.
Through chair to Councillor Manley, so it would be in the bylaw noted as site specific maximum floor area ratio.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you. I don't see anybody here from engineering. I'm just wondering about, we have so many concerns already about Departure Bay Road. We've added more in at the other end where we've added more. I just wanted to know what the impact would be, especially because there's no light on Sandringham. Yeah, I'm just really struggling with this. I think it's too many units for the size of the lot. Thank you.
Councillor Thorpe.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I will likely support this, but I am struggling with it somewhat. I feel the reality is that the dominoes have started to fall in the Departure Bay neighborhood. I did not support the application a couple of weeks back that we discussed. I thought the density was too great. And quite frankly, I sometimes wonder why we bother have zoning, because we're constantly barraged with efforts or attempts to rezone from R1 to R8 or something similar. So I'm still giving this thought. I concede that I have heard very little community pushback on this one as opposed to the earlier development, which is good. I do have a question about the amenity contribution through you, Chair. 50% of the funds to be allocated to the Housing Legacy Reserve Fund, remaining 50% directed towards park and trail improvements within the city. And my question is, or my preference would be that 100% of the amenity contribution be directed towards park or trail improvements in that immediate neighborhood. We have the small park where Kinhut is located. We have the Departure Bay sports fields, which are reasonably heavily used. I'm sure there's lots of improvements that could be made in those areas. So that's a comment for what it's worth, and I don't know how this the suggested allocation of the funds was determined. Thank you, Chair.
Council, I see no further questions or comments. I will indicate that I am in support of this proposal. One of the, a resident wrote to us asking that we reject it, and part of the rationale was that there's a primary school and a shopping center just up the street from the property in question, and that in and of itself is my rationale for density in that area. 40 extra cars, that's exactly where we want the cars. We want people to be able to go to school and go to the grocery store without having to get in those cars. So I'm the chair, and this is a bylaw. I can't read it. Sure, I'll go to Councillor Manley first, and then if...
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to express support for this as well. In city plan, this is identified as corridor for increased density. It's close to amenities, schools, shopping centers, and this is, you know, it's on a transit route. This is where it makes sense to add density, and it's not designated as a suburban neighborhood in our city plan, so I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam
Councillor
Chair,
Eastmere.
just of note, when you're ready, I think Councillor Brown has his hand up, but Councillor Eastmere is the next acting chair, so she can read the bylaw when it comes up. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Over to you, Councillor Brown.
I just want to say support it, and also want to say, Chair, that nothing's stopping you from reading the bylaw as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I prefer Councillor Eastmere.
I'll move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.253 to rezone 2335 Departure Bay Road from single dwelling residential R1 to 3 and 4 unit residential R5 and medium density residential R8 with a site-specific maximum floor area ratio of 1.0 for the R8 portion of the property past first reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Any opposed? I see none opposed.
I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.253 pass second reading.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Armstrong. I'm sorry, sir, you're not. If you haven't signed up for a delegation, what you can do is put your name on the list for questions at the end. I'm sorry, sir, we're going into second and third reading here. There is a question and answer or question sheet you can sign up for. Okay. Sorry, sir, I'm going to ask you to stop. This is a place of business, and we don't take audience comment like that. So we are on second reading. It's been seconded by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Sorry. Any opposed? I see none opposed.
I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.253 pass third reading.
Seconded by Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor? Any opposed? I see none opposed.
And I move that council direct staff to secure the conditions related to zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.253 as outlined in the conditions of rezoning section of the staff report titled rezoning application number RA 5232335 Departure Bay Road dated June 22nd, 2026 prior to final adoption.
Seconded by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Any opposed? I see none opposed. Thank you.
And the next is E, rezoning application number RA 536-2180 Highland Boulevard. There is a recommended motion. Councillor Hemmens.
Your Worship, I move that zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.255 to rezone 2180 Highland Boulevard to allow cannabis retail store as a site-specific use in the existing neighborhood center CC2 zone pass first reading.
Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor and opposed? Moi.
I move that the bylaw pass second reading.
Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Sorry? Yeah, Councillor Eastmere, please.
Thank you. I think the difference between a rezoning for a cannabis retail store is that there's no consumption on site, unlike somewhere that has a liquor license. So to me, it does not have the same type of potential negative impacts on the immediate surrounding neighborhood. So I will be voting in support of this.
Thank you. For what it's worth in response, there's one down the hill at the new development, and there's one further along the highway. That's enough for me. All those in favor? Everybody except me. I'm opposed. Thank you. Councillor Hemmens.
I move that council direct staff to hold a public hearing for zoning amendment bylaw 2026 number 4500.255.
Seconded, Councillor Thorpe. All those in favor of a public hearing? That's all of us. None opposed. Councillor Hemmens.
Thank you. And finally, I move that council direct staff to secure the conditions related to zoning amendment bylaw 2026, number 4500.255, as outlined in the conditions of rezoning section of the staff report titled Rezoning Application Number RA 536-2180 Highland Boulevard, dated 2026, June 22nd, prior to final adoption.
Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor and any opposed? None. Motion carries. We have no bylaws, no correspondence, no notices of motion, no other business. Question period for agenda items only. Ms. Gurry, please. Thank you very much. Mr. Annesley, 12C. That's Traffic Demand Management Reserve Fund bylaw.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry if it was said during the presentation, but where is the money that is going to be put into this fund come from? Is it a new tax? Is it general revenue? Is it from DCCs? How are you going to fund this new reserve?
Thank you very much. Mr. Holm?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, through to the question on this. So the fund will be funds will be provided by developers who are either required or choose to provide monetary contribution to this traffic demand management reserve fund through development. So offset parking you can pay into the this fund, and so it won't be funded by tax dollars. It'll be through development.
Okay, but not separate from DCCs and ACCs. It's sort of its own.
It is separate from ACCs and DCCs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No further items. Move adjournment. Councillor Eastmere, seconded Councillor Hemmens. All those in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion